What's up, guys? Sean here, coming at y'all with a quick little video. Want to talk about the Jalen Hurts slander and the pure disrespect. I know we deal with it every offseason as Eagles fans, but it's just hit a point now to where they're rage baiting Eagles fans. They're trying to piss people off, or they're trying to piss Jalen Hurts off. I don't understand why. If Jalen Hurts played in at least 5, 6 other cities, you would never hear a peep about him. There wouldn't be anything to say, but every year they have something to say about him, something to say about him being a runner or about him not being able to throw the deep ball. All these things they have to say every year never makes any sense. But today we're going to get into it. We're going to break it down. We're going to look at some stats because you know what? Once you hear something enough, you really start to question it yourself. I've always been a Jalen Hurts supporter, but today we're going to dig into it and I'm going to show you guys why he either is or is not the quarterback of the future in Philadelphia. But first, if you're new here, please like, please subscribe. I appreciate you guys' support. Thanks so much for all the views, the likes, the comments the past couple weeks. We've been covering a lot of summer league stuff here. It's been a great time. The fans are great. The comments have been great. All your support is greatly appreciated. It really does mean the world to me, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in again. Let's get right into things. So this is kind of where everything started. Of course, it's 94 WIP Philadelphia. I don't know why anybody pays attention to them. I don't know why I pay attention to them. They're great for clicks, great for starting an argument, and they're always the first ones to attack Jalen Hurts, and it just never made sense to me. All the things he's done for the city, you're still going to ask the same questions every offseason, and it just gets so old so fast. But let's go over this real quick. Obviously, in tier 1, they've got Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen being number 1, first of all, just makes me laugh. Patrick Mahomes number 2. Right away with Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes, you lose everything, this whole chart. You know, Patrick Mahomes might not be what he was a couple years ago, but the accolades alone and what he's capable of with the right weapons and system around him, it speaks for itself. MVP, Super Bowl MVP. Patrick Mahomes has done it all at this point, and they just re-upped his contract to extend it out. It's still like a 10-year contract or something crazy like that. Nobody has faith in their quarterback like Kansas City does, and there's a reason for that. He's number 1. He's going to be for probably a good bit longer into his career. Josh Allen, number 2, I wouldn't really have much of a problem with it, but tell me what Josh Allen has done to deserve this rating, because they told me Jalen Hurts was a rushing quarterback. Well, Josh Allen and the Bills run the QB sneak more than the Eagles did last year, and worse. Josh Allen, of course, getting all those touchdowns, adding to his legacy of how great he is, but yet he hasn't won anything, and they've literally just copied exactly what Jalen Hurts has done that's brought him success. So explain to me why Josh Allen is so much higher than Jalen Hurts, but they both literally run off the same systems and do the same things. And don't talk to me about Josh Allen having a bigger arm, because what has he done with that arm? That arm has brought him nothing but trouble. So I never understand why Josh Allen is looked at as such a top tier quarterback and Jalen Hurts isn't. The only thing that's different, one's a little taller, one's got a little bit bigger of an arm, one's white. That's it. They all do everything else pretty much the same. Jalen Hurts was more athletic, I think, through his peak. Josh Allen a little bit more physical. I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is better than Josh Allen, but his career says he is. Tier 2, Matthew Stafford at number 3. I really can't argue this too much. Matthew Stafford is still amazing, still has a great quarterback mind. Reminds me a lot of Peyton's brain, the way Peyton was able to process things and just kind of tough it out through all the injuries. I absolutely love Matthew Stafford. I think he's a Hall of Famer every day. The things he did in Detroit before he ever went to LA made me a fan of Matthew Stafford. Not the biggest fan of LA, but I'll never talk bad about him. Him being anywhere in the top 5 quarterback discussion will never be an argument with me. You can put him just about anywhere you want other than over Patrick Mahomes, but he's another guy for me that he's a tier 1 quarterback. Doesn't make sense. The biggest laugh is the next 3 tiers, but this one specifically made me laugh the hardest. Joe Burrow has at least made it to a Super Bowl. And pound for pound, I don't think you find a better quarterback in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes or otherwise, when it comes to throwing the ball and dissecting the game. Joe Burrow is hands down one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, but he's in Cincinnati. He is in football hell. They refuse to build a team. They refuse to pay their players. The fact that he signed an extension there is insane to me. It just shows that he's loyal or stupid. Just kidding, but he's ultra loyal, you know, and I think Joe Burrow is probably a top 3 quarterback all day. Yes, his situation isn't great, but at least he drug a terrible team to a Super Bowl. They got him Jamar Chase. He has a lot of offensive weapons. They probably should win more games, but if you've watched one Cincinnati Bengals game, you've pretty much watched them all because the defense normally chokes it away at the biggest point in the game and costs them the win. Sometimes it's Joe Burrow, but most of the time it's not going to be Joe Burrow. He's a tier 1, tier 2 quarterback at worst for me. He has drug a bad team to a Super Bowl. I don't understand how you can rank him tier 3. Then with Lamar Jackson, yes, he hasn't won a Super Bowl, but MVP has dominated the league through the air, on the ground, year after year. Another thing with Baltimore, similar to Cincinnati, Baltimore at least tries to build a good team, but they have a problem with bringing in old guys that are over the hill, and it slows them down a lot. When they rely on their draft picks, their young guys, and they play physical on defense, they typically win games. Now, in the postseason, Lamar has had his own set of problems. He hasn't been the greatest in certain games, but pound for pound, again, Lamar anywhere in the top 5 for me, below 1 or 2, probably the 3 to 5 range. You're never going to get an argument out of me. He hasn't won with that team, and that is kind of disappointing. There have been a lot of years where you expected to see the Ravens in the Super Bowl and to see them making noise, and whether it's been his fault or not, still one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. So I just don't understand tier 3 at all. It probably shouldn't exist. All 3 of these guys, Stafford, Burrow, and Jackson, should probably have fell in the tier 2 range for me anyway. Tier 4, we're going to start speeding things up a little bit here. Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Drake May, Jared Goff. All 4 of these guys ranked way too high. Between the 4 of them, Drake May at least was 1 vote away from an MVP, took his team to a Super Bowl. Jared Goff chokes pretty much every year. Dak Prescott chokes every year. Justin Herbert is either injured or looks uninterested and throws interceptions in big moments. So all of these guys could have dropped down another level, wouldn't have bothered me one bit. Tier 5, Caleb Williams, Sam Darnold, Jaden Daniels, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Baker Mayfield. Caleb Williams has 3 or 4 fourth quarter, no, more than that. Probably, I think it's like 5 or more fourth quarter comebacks last year alone. I watched at least 2 or 3 games where I was like, the Bears are done, and then they won because of Caleb Williams. He was playing with DJ Moore, who didn't look like he was running routes half the time, looked like he was way over the hill. The young guys produced a lot, especially later in the season. Caleb Williams might not be a tier 2, tier 3 quarterback right now, but he probably should be. He is hands down one of the most talented young quarterbacks in the league. One of my favorite players to watch. He's been fantastic, especially over this last year. Showed exactly what he was capable of, why he was drafted where he was drafted. I think the Bears are only going to go up from here with the new coach, Johnson, and then Caleb Williams. I just think they're going to be great this year. I don't think Caleb Williams gets nearly enough love. Sam Darnold just went to a Super Bowl with his team. He's been pretty solid the last 2 years. I would argue he's a little better than where he's ranked, but at the same time, we all know what he looked like the first couple years in his career. So we definitely need to see more, see if he can get them over the hump, maybe win a Super Bowl, because they definitely look like a team that could go back. I'm weird about slandering Sam Darnold. He's like Baker Mayfield. They had a rough beginning to their career, and they've kind of turned it around where they are now. They're just floaters. They're middle of the pack guys. Jaden Daniels, I think, is still incredibly talented. Now, will injuries slow him down? Does he have to change his play style? Definitely needs to win more. Had an amazing rookie season. Haven't seen much since then, but another mid-tier guy for me. He could definitely move up in the rankings ultra fast with one more good season. If he's good this year, plays well, doesn't cost them games, his rookie year and this year will warrant him getting a pretty decent payday, maybe a top tier payday if the Commanders feel like he's worth it, which I think they will. Another guy that could boost his ratings big time this year, and probably doesn't get the love he deserves either. Jordan Love, ultra talented. Another quarterback that just seems uninterested to me. Very scripted in the way he talks. Never been a huge Jordan Love fan. Has some big moments, but hasn't won anything. Hasn't done anything crazy outside of a few really impressive games, which, gives you some warrant to be ranked maybe higher, but I would probably leave Jordan Love about where he is. Brock Purdy, pretty much exactly the same as what I just said about Jordan Love. up and down career, had some chances to play in some big games, to win some big games. Injuries kind of held him back a little bit. He's got Shanahan coaching that team. Over the last 5-10 years, they were expected to be a lot better than they've been. Brock Purdy was a pleasant surprise being Mr. Irrelevant. I think he's a little better than tier 5, but probably not much. He's going to have to show a lot more, put together some amazing seasons. He's been solid, but not a top tier guy at this point, in my opinion. Then we get to the absolute laughable part, which is the last 2 tiers. You have guys like Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones who have done nothing. Daniel Jones has one good season to his name and got injured again. We have no idea what he's going to look like this year. Was it lightning in a bottle last year? It's going to be interesting to watch him, but has done nothing. He belongs on the bottom. Trevor Lawrence belongs on the bottom. He is a talented quarterback, uninterested, just hasn't done anything remarkable in his career. And, they paid him. And why did they pay him? It never made sense, but these 2 guys definitely belong on the bottom to me, however your list falls. And then Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a Super Bowl MVP quarterback, has been in MVP votings in his better seasons, has played rock solid pretty much every year outside of his first year in the league, had 1 bad playoff game and 2 of the greatest Super Bowl performances we've ever seen. And you're going to tell me he's a tier 6 quarterback when most of these guys haven't even sniffed a Super Bowl. He's a tier 6 quarterback. And then just for fun here, Bo Nix and CJ Stroud. Bo Nix looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL last year, was playing way above his pay grade. Nobody thought Bo Nix was going to be any good. And him and Sean Payton have made unbelievable noise in Denver, and they're just getting better. They're young, they're hungry. Bo Nix is a winner. He's going to win with Sean Payton. Him being in the bottom level is just laughable to me, especially if anybody watched the end of the season in the playoffs last year. Bo Nix was the reason they were winning more than he was ever the reason they were losing. And then CJ Stroud has had an up and down career, but again, one of the most talented guys in the NFL. I think that offensive scheme has hurt him more and playmakers around him, stuff like that, running back inconsistencies. There's more team issues with CJ Stroud than CJ Stroud being the issue. He's at worst a mid-tier quarterback. Now, again, no accolades, nothing crazy, but you can watch the games and see which of these quarterbacks win for their team and which ones cost them wins. And this whole list, top to bottom, is just a joke. Here, ESPN Radio, the top 10 quarterbacks ranked by coaches, executive, and scouts. I'm just going to fly through it. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Drake May, Jared Goff, Caleb Williams. Dak Prescott being in the top 10 anything is laughable. Great numbers. He's a great regular season merchant. He knows how to get yards on a bad team. They're always down. They're always behind because they play like crap for the first half and then they have to come out and throw 100 times in the second, or they're just losing in general. And so you have to pass on every down. I just never like seeing him in the top. Not just Cowboys hatred in general, but it just never makes sense to me to see him up there. And then no Jalen Hurts. Again, no Jalen Hurts. You're going to tell me Drake May is better than Jalen Hurts. You're going to tell me Justin Herbert's better than Jalen Hurts. You're going to tell me that Dak Prescott is better than Jalen Hurts. Dak has had weapons, and he had Zeke for the beginning of his career. He's had CeeDee Lamb, who everyone claims is the best wide receiver in the league. You got another number 1 receiver in Pickens. So you got 2 number 1 capable guys. And last year, they didn't do anything with it. You had a defense that was bringing you a 10-sack guy, a 10-interception guy in the same year. You didn't win with that. I'll just never understand, how you can put Cowboys players and Dak Prescott in these conversations when year after year, they do nothing. They stat pad. And it'll never make any sense to me. When you make your top 10 ranking, do you watch the games or do you just pick your favorite names and put them on a piece of paper? Because that's what a lot of this feels like. Because show me where your favorite quarterback did this. He hasn't. And that leads me into something else. The A.J. Brown drama, Smitty, stuff like that. Smitty's been a number 2. He's been the second fiddle for years. But every time we need a big play, every time we need a toe drag on the sideline to get that 1 yard to keep the chains moving, it's Smitty. Our biggest highlight, arguably, in Eagles history is Smitty. So I don't want to hear any more slander on that. People coming out and talking crazy about, the Eagles offense isn't going to be nothing this year. We don't have the guy. We lost AJ. We still got Smitty. So I'm going to roll with that forever. I literally only had to pull up 2 highlights of Jalen Hurts to show y'all, this isn't a top 10 quarterback. you know, you're coming out to start the second half, 19-17. You need to come out and make a statement. And what does Jalen Hurts do? A strike. AJ didn't have to do nothing crazy there. He just had to catch the ball and run. That's a dot. The same as the dagger. Stop with the disrespect. It's crazy. And just one more thing, just to add on to everything. You look at Jalen Hurts' stats, and every year he's gotten better and better. And then the Super Bowl year, ultra efficient, almost 70% completion, under 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 picks, 103 rating, because he just did what he had to do. And then he comes out this past year, still throws for damn near 65% of his passes, 3,200 yards, 25 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, and a 98.5 rating. And they're still slandering him. He had arguably a better year after winning the Super Bowl than he did the year of the Super Bowl. And now you're going to ask questions about, is he good enough? He had a wide receiver one who didn't want to catch the ball. He has 3,500 yards and 5 more touchdowns if A.J. Brown wasn't quitting on routes. If A.J. Brown just did his job and kept his emotions in check, we're not even having this conversation about Jalen, because he's a 30 touchdown a year guy with 3,500 yards, which is right around league average in yards and above average in touchdowns, especially touchdown interception ratio. He don't turn the ball over. And then if you really want to get petty and you say, oh, his regular season, that's not impressive. That's fine. Okay, let's look at the postseason numbers here. 10 games, 191 completions for 291 attempts, a 65.6 completion rating, almost 2,000 yards, 7 yards a throw, 10 touchdowns through the air, 10 touchdowns on the ground to 3 interceptions and 1 fumble, 21 touchdowns to 4 turnovers in the postseason. And then we'll take it a step further than that. You ignore the first game, which is 53% completion, 2 interceptions. That was the game against Brady and the Bucks where we got dominated in every aspect. That was his first big run, his first postseason run in the NFL. We'll say that one doesn't count. So we'll take that and we'll move on from there to his QB rating. 21 in the bad game. He's still at a 60 rating, 24 QBR. Then he comes back and has 3 games, 66%, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 96 rating, 78 QBR, 1 game in 23 where he puts up 250 yards on 71 completion, 1 touchdown, no picks, 3 sacks, 100.9 QB rating. And then the Super Bowl year comes out and gives you 71.4% again on 726 yards, 8 per attempt, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick for 108 QBR. Or even last year, bad completion percentage, but he still gave you 168 yards, a touchdown, 79 rating. He's not the guy that's losing you games. He is a playoff riser. He's a team riser. You add in all of his rushing yards, all of his passing yards in the postseason, all of his touchdowns versus all of his turnovers, and he is among the greats in the NFL, and they just won't accept it. He will be 28 years old when this season starts. He's in the prime of his career, and you're still going to sit here and you're still going to slander him every year. After everything he's done, it makes 0 sense to continue to shit on Jalen Hurts. A new coordinator every single year from college into the NFL. He never gets to play with the same guy twice. The first time he did, he took a team to the Super Bowl with Steichen. The only A-plus offensive coordinator he's had, he won a Super Bowl with. So anyway, guys, this got way longer than it was supposed to. I had a little more that I was going to throw in there, but man, I got into a rant early and I couldn't get out of it. We're definitely going to be covering this more as the season goes on. I'm just not here for the Jalen Hurts slander. I know I joked a little bit in the beginning about, is he worth the contract? Is he not worth the contract? I'll tell you what I think of him. I fucking love Jalen Hurts. I appreciate Jalen Hurts for bringing consistency to my football team, for not turning the ball over. For so long, we've dealt with bottom barrel quarterbacks. Since McNabb has been gone, we had a string of crap after crap. We'd get half a year of Sam Bradford that looked decent, and we would get excited for it. We had Carson Wentz give us 1 amazing year and a couple good years, and we loved the guy. We were willing to run through a wall for Carson Wentz, to defend Carson Wentz. The Nick Foles drama got out of hand. All the stuff around it got out of hand, but we were always ready to defend Carson Wentz. But we've had so much bad QB play, and even Carson turned the ball over in big moments and cost us games, made bad decisions, refused to check the ball down. Just his arrogance of, I'm going to score on every play, is what really brought things down. And with Jalen, you don't feel that ever. You feel like the scheme is what holds Jalen back. We're not throwing over the middle. It's not Jalen. Guys, it's always been scheme related. Nick Sirianni wants to do high percentage, high volume. He wants to attack the plays that stay away from turnovers. He wants to continue driving the ball down the field and running the ball to win the game because he's realized over his career the team who turns the ball over less is the team that wins. It's simple. Jalen has always just played within the confines of the scheme that he's in. And he has shown year after year that if you give him the right scheme and you give him the right tools, he's going to use it. He's going to check into plays that make sense. He's going to check out of plays that don't. And he's going to do what he has to do, all of the little things and all of the big things to win the game. So yes, I'm extending Jalen Hurts right now. He's 28 years old. I believe this is the prime of his career. Jalen's never dealt with big injuries, harsh injuries. He's still super athletic, still super mobile, still has an absolute cannon. His brain is only going to get bigger as he consumes more and more football, sees more and more defenses, which he's already seen most of everything at this point. You have to expect with the years he's put into the league and the time he's put into this point. So extend Jalen Hurts. What is the point of even thinking about it? Barring a big injury or an ultimate collapse, Jalen's going to be the guy for the next couple years. So the slander can go on as much as they want. The clickbait can go on as much as they want, but Jalen's my guy. Pure and simple. All right, guys, if you made it this far, I appreciate you so much. I love you guys. Please like, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything that we're posting here. I got way more content coming. We still have a ton of Summer League content coming, a lot more Eagles stuff as we get closer and closer to training camp. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. I'll catch you in the next one.